I'm Ken Godmere, and the show is Vernus Says SURPRISE. It is about an 89-year-old man who never gets the chance to speak, which anybody who knows Ken Godmere is a big irony because Ken Godmere always takes the chance to speak. Just exploring someone who's aging in a very much accelerating, busy, noisy, hectic world, and just trying to accomplish his task with those odds stacked against him.
What was the development process behind the show?
The seed of the character Vernus actually comes from my paternal grandfather named Vernus, who was born in Campbell's Bay, Quebec, just up Pontiac County. And in 1998, I introduced this character Vernus at a sketch comedy show. I ran a comedy club called The Institution, so we wrote a sketch comedy scene, and he first appeared there in 1998. And had a lot of fun with him. I did a lot of improvisation. He became one of my stock characters. For a while he did become a little crotchety and a little mischievous, and sort of Tim Conway trying to get Harvey Korman and Carol Burnett to laugh during scenes, with people like Tanya Levy and Jen Scrivens and Greg Cochran, Matt we met, and had a lot of fun with him for a lot of years. So last year at the Ottawa Fringe, I was involved in a show called The Interview, which dealt with two cops, a good cop, bad cop, interrogating an old man, and the old man was played by Dan Barron. Wonderful, wonderful performance. Very generous actor. We had a wonderful bond together as colleagues, but even as characters. And there was some subject matter in there about not necessarily abuse, but senior neglect or pushing and just things to begin exploring. And so that struck me as something that needs to be explored even more, or can be, especially with the baby boomers now all becoming seniors.
Right.
So this is a big social issue, social fact that we are now faced with. Such a large percentage of people slowing down, while the world is exponentially accelerating. Modern communications, bus schedules, changes, faster, faster, faster. How much faster can we go? And I wanted to explore both sides of the coin, so I wrote a script and realized that what I'd like to do is go back to some of my roots in mime, clown, comedy, storytelling. And so all of those elements came together on the last day of last year's Ottawa Fringe. I just went, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to write this script, and it's going to be about this character I used to play, and bring all those pieces together. I think the best thing that happened was to get Tanya Levy to come on board as director, because she knew Vernus from those years ago. She was one of the company members at the institution. So she understood the man, she understands me, and was very open to the fact that I could be very convincing and headstrong. Not possessive, closed, but very direct in storytelling and generosity and connection with an audience, for instance. And that's what she's about as well. So we were more like dance partners as opposed to, what do I do? And direct. We were dance partners in finding the beats of humanity and comedy and logic to be able to do this to a fixed 50-minute soundtrack. And we really had a lot of fun and difficulty on this on the structure of that, because she needs the soundtrack to direct the show, and I need the show to build the soundtrack. So it was quite we really had to roll up our sleeves together, and we trust each other so much, and already even more.
Up a question I wanted to ask, and I'll get into the technical part of the soundscape later, but is the soundscape run straight through the 50 minutes, or are there pauses to let it catch up to you?
No, it is an exactly 50-minute soundtrack. It's a symphony, and then the show is a dance. Just as in, here's these 4 beats until he's at the shelf, and there are guide tracks, there's music, mostly for atmosphere, because Vernus is at his own pace. That I put these things in, but I was able to use them as a guide track, as a click track, as a metronome, to say, now I'm picking up the phone.
And can you tell me a bit about developing the soundscape? That in itself is a pretty remarkable achievement.
It almost killed me. Colleagues started trying to estimate the amount of hours I put in, and once we got up to 3,000 hours, they said, let's stop counting. I'm embarrassed how long it took. There are 19, there's an Easter egg in there on who the 19th voice actor is. You'll have to see it again. There are 18 local voice actors that came to my basement to record in my homemade sound studio, which is a futon against a wall and a couch upturned to make a little sound booth with a microphone board from a very good friend. So that kind of support and who's who and belief in this, I feel sorry for them because they were showing up, they didn't even know the whole story. I'm just saying, okay, there's this dad in a store who's impatient with his son. I guess the way Disney would do it, you don't know the whole story, just come in and record your parts. Or if you're doing CGI, you know, just there's this dinosaur thing and a building is falling, so just imagine that and then do this. Trusted the project so much to bring so much truth and humanity without doing it the way an actor would do it. Read the whole script, come in and audition, understand, direct. They came into a sound recording and brought it.
And what was it like performing for the show for the first time in your hometown?
Not as scary because of London, because we had opened it and started to get a sense of that. But it was, I was very honored to be able to bring it home and ready to just open here's what I believe, here's what I feel, and it's a very, I think when you say coming home has another meaning for me is because I think I've neglected myself in my art for years and sort of leaned over, what can I help you do? Oh, you need something, I'll help you direct or I'll teach, and was out of line in my own core. And this project, when I decided to do it as a writer and as a performer, I wanted to find that alignment. The reason I was doing it, I've been in the industry now for 36 years. And so it's a lesson sort of that Vernus is learning, that Katie is learning in the show, that Ken is learning again to say, it is inside. The music and the magic are inside, but now is the time. Believe it, work on it, walk to the store, stand up against the odds or whatever, but not to make something happen, but to let that true core spirit be back to what you knew it was 20 years ago and sort of pushed aside. So I think coming home is also a big thing inside of me. My colleagues, my friends, my co-workers, and my fellow artists that have participated or supported or now come to see it are looking inside me and saying, welcome back, more than welcome back to Ottawa, welcome back to Ken.
And you're just at the beginning of your tour. Where else are you headed?
So we did London and Ottawa, which overlapped, and thank goodness for Ottawa being so understanding and accommodating to let us open late and help and support us and give us that boost because we got in late. We're headed to Regina on July 3rd, and at the end of July we're going to Winnipeg. And then the beginning of August is Saskatoon, and the end of August is Edmonton. So it's a nice, sweet 6-city tour, thankfully on the same year that a show is connecting, that my visa's maxed out, and they might balance each other out. But also to be able to bring Vernus to more audiences, and I get to be a tourist and an artist in my country, and I'm very proud and happy to, and excited to be able to do that.
And in September you sleep.
And in September I sleep. Well, I gotta say, here's a couple of little secrets. When I get back, Tanya Levy and I will be translating the soundtrack dialogue into French and inserting those parts in so that we can start touring around. We've already got an invitation to come to 1 or 2 different festivals in Quebec City. And we'll look at La Nouvelle Scène in town and Montreal Comedy Festival, who knows? Which has opened the door to the possibility of translating then into Spanish, German, Russian, Latvian, Croatian, and tour the world.
Nice.
Because the character is universal, I would get to learn one word in each of those languages, and the soundtrack, the show would be able to maintain its pace and integrity and truth. So.
And I hear rumors of a sequel.
Do you want the exclusive? Do you want the,
sure.
the breaking?
Let us have it.
It's already started to develop, and I had a nice conversation with Tanya about that. It's called Vernus Says Aloha. Vernus' son lives in Hawaii, invites him to come out and visit his older children. Well, then there's all the stuff of Vernus packing his suitcase and trying to pack his humidifier and accidentally packing the cat, and of course, airport security. Customs and immigration, sitting on the tarmac when you have to go to the washroom, take your medication, all of those things. Again, just in that world experience where we know it's already difficult, imagine how it is for an 89-year-old man who's just trying to connect with his son and his family in another part of the world.